Welcome to the Perinatal Wellbeing Podcast. I'm Christine, your host and certified perinatal mental health professional. This podcast is all about authentic conversations. We want to open up the discussions around perinatal health and well-being, from mood and anxiety disorders to breastfeeding to grief and loss in the perinatal period, and everything in between. While this is not therapy or medical advice, it is the place where we are going to continue to open up the discussion around all things perinatal mental, physical, emotional, and sexual health to help reduce stigma and break down these barriers to support. How does body hair come into that for you as a parent, like in the postpartum? And I don't mean just that 1 year, but after having a baby, what has that been like for you embracing the body hair?
It's hard to say, right? Because my body has also changed in shape as well. And that's been like another layer of the equation. That's like a very good thing to talk about as well. That a lot of people go through this body change that they weren't really prepared for or know what it was going to be like. And then you have messaging that's like, all right, now snap back. Let's get you back. Let's get you to the gym and let's put you on a regime and
bounce back. Yeah.
So in that sense, my body shape has been more tied to it's hard to say, like just learning that body neutrality is okay. Like there are moments where I can feel just okay about how I feel about my body, and I try to always bring the focus back to like how I really feel, not how I think or how I look or something like more superficial. I try to think like, okay, do I feel like I want to do more exercise? Do I feel like I need more fun activity in my life? Do I feel like I want to walk the kid to school today? Or do I feel like I just want to drive the kid to school today? And not making it mean anything about me, but like just that constant checking in with yourself on a more deeper level, and not just stopping at the, at what other people are going to think or what this means about me or what it looks like. Right.
Yeah.
And actually tapping into what you feel and what you want and kind of going from there, and always going from a place of love rather than a place of shame. Right.
Which can be really hard.
Yeah.
When we've experienced shame pretty much our whole lives about our bodies. And when we live in a society that actually encourages us to feel shame about our bodies so that we buy the product to make our bodies quote unquote better. So we look better, we conform, we're not going to gross people out. We're not going to bother people with how our body looks if we use the product that, will make us not look like that. Right.
Yeah.
So it's really hard.
Yeah. And to also answer your question about like how parenthood has been, it's very much like, what do I want to do that my internal hate, body hate thing is trying to stop me from doing? What do I actually want to do? Like, I want to, for example, rollerblade at the park with my baby in the stroller on a hot day. That means I'm gonna have to wear shorts so that I don't overheat and pass out. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that thing because I want to do that thing. It's gonna feel great. It's an activity I used to love doing. And it's gonna be great. Like my kid's gonna love it too. And also there's been days where I'm like, I don't feel like being stared at today. I'm just going to wear like the workout leggings. So also giving yourself that compassion as well. That if you don't feel up to it, just, it's okay to like,
Yeah.
do what you have to do to not have to necessarily deal with it if you can, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be chances that you can't just,
hide or do something different.
Right?
Yeah. And I think that's a good point too, of like, even when you're starting out, if you're trying to challenge whatever shame you have around your body, that it doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I love my body 100%. Like, day one. No, it can be, I like one thing, or like, I like my eyes, or, I maybe something that's not so charged, right. With shame and, socialization, all that stuff. And that neutrality piece of like, maybe I can start with, okay, today I don't hate my childbearing hips.
Yeah.
Like, and factually, my hips expanded to allow me to birth 3 large babies.
Yeah.
I don't have to be like, oh my God, and that's so amazing. But like starting with just that like simple fact.
Yeah.
Right. We can also take out the negativity. We don't have to say, oh, I birthed 3 kids and now I'm fat and I'm gross.
Yeah.
Right. We could take that out too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And just start with that, like removing that judgment piece of just like, it's mindfulness, really just noticing what is true, what is truth right now in this moment. Right.
Yeah. And starting to pay attention to how we speak to ourselves, like our internal voice, even just turning on the awareness of that is like a huge thing.
Massive.
Right. Because so much of it is programmed. So much of it is automatic. And if we can just start to interrupt the pattern a little bit and like say, hold on now, right? Like, so if I'm saying, oh my God, I've gone up like 3 pant sizes with these freaking hips. What the heck?
Yeah.
I don't fit anything right. It's like, okay, let's just hit the pause button for a second here and let's look at the facts. We have birthed some children and it's biologically meant to be this way so that we can also carry our children on our hip.
Yeah.
And I'm damn good at that. And my kid loves to hang out in my arm on my hip. And we're going with that right now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That noticing piece is definitely, I think, the biggest game changer when it comes to any behavior change, because we have to notice, we have to know the thing that we're targeting to change. Right.
Yeah.
So being aware and just hearing, like, because we all have our own cues, right? Like, we all have a word, right? Or like something that leads to that negative self-talk, right? There's going to be like our own specific cues. And so if you can figure that out, what is that? And then, try to catch it, interrupt it, do something different. Again, it could just be like stating the facts, right? Or just removing the judgment. Like if it's, okay, I have leg hair, I have visible leg hair, for example, end of sentence. Not like, oh, and that's disgusting. Yeah. Right. It's just, I have visible leg hair.
Yep.
That's it. And just,
and for me, one of the big ones is like, I notice it more than other people do. Yes. Or like it looks to me worse than it actually is. It's not actually as bad as I think it is. Right. It's like also bringing ourselves out of our own head and just checking ourselves, and mirror work can help with that. Like looking in the mirror and saying, it's actually not as bad as it looks from my viewpoint,
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's really important too. And also just like maybe investing a little bit in a wardrobe that makes you feel awesome and that you love, and that like it doesn't matter what the number is on the tag. It like makes you feel amazing. It fits, it feels great, it looks great. And we don't always know how to do that because again, we're trying to fit some norm or like some style trend or whatever, and it just isn't working for us. We're not enjoying it. So I mean, I never did this, but like working with a stylist, I imagine, could be fabulous because they don't come with all the mental baggage that you have about your body, about how it was previously and how it is now. They come to you now. They help you look the way you want to like look and feel and be authentic. So I imagine that would be something that would be really cool to do as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a good point of, you know, after 3 kids and after every kid, like trying to get back to whatever size I was on the tag pre-kid, and then I'm pregnant with another one. And then, you know, it's so hard. And like, okay, I'm going to keep these 46 pairs of jeans, in the hopes that I will fit into them. And, you know, I've plotted out exactly how much weight that I will lose. And I know the date that I'm going to put those jeans on, you know, so I'm going to hold on to them. And it's like,
it's exhausting.
It's so exhausting. Takes up so much space in your house, in your head, you know, wherever you are.
Everything.
And it's uncomfortable. Like just buy the clothes that fit your body.
Yeah. And so many times we actually look and feel way better in something that actually fits properly than the way we look and feel when we try to put ourselves in something that's too tight. It's like, no. No.
Oh my God.
So I've really channeled my inner Marie Kondo.
Love it.
And when it comes to clothes, I don't think I have one pair of like very stretchy exercise shorts from pre-baby, but like even those I'm like ready to donate. It's like if it does not spark joy,
that's right,
donate it.
Yes. And
do something with it.
I'm curious to know, you know, if this applies to you. It does for me, just in terms of what does body hair, wherever that is on your body, how does that correlate with parenting and femininity, motherhood? Like, what does that mean to you?
For me, as a queer mom, it means I do what the fuck I want.
Love it.
It's like I'm gonna define what motherhood looks like, what my gender identity is. Like I'm even toying with non-binary right now, but I'm not sure yet. For now, I'm genderqueer woman. And that's what it means. It's like it's a declaration, and like I'm not following someone else's rules about my parenting, about how I'm supposed to act, look, be in this stage of my life. You know, I'm gonna every day my mission is to be the more me than yesterday. Like more authentic today than yesterday. That's it. You know, and that's how it all ties together. It's just a part of me that is a reminder of like of this, and also a reminder of, again, like I'm doing this to also inspire the next generation of people. And I care a lot about the next generation. And so it's not only my kid that I'm doing this for, it's also like, because I didn't have anyone, I never saw anyone in public growing up that looked like a woman and had hairy legs. Like that just was not, I never saw that ever. So if at least like a kid can look and see that it can exist, it can in fact exist, then like that's what I'm here to do. And that's like how I live my life, is just by my own rules. I'm doing things the way I want to do them. Every day I'm just like strengthening that bond to myself, and that like self-trust, and that unapologeticness, and that I'm not going to let other people dictate my worth, my happiness, my experience on this planet. Because, you know, if COVID has taught us anything, it's also that like things can change in an instant.
Yeah.
Life can change in an instant.
Absolutely.
And there are certain things that we care about that actually are so fucking petty, like leg hair, you know, like we've got bigger fish to fry. We've got bigger issues at hand.
Yeah. I'm curious, which is, I love it. Like, I love, you know, and I think it's infectious too, right? Of
Thank
like,
you.
I'm doing this, like, fuck everyone, you know,
It makes me like almost, I'm getting like hot because I am a recovering people pleaser, right? So that's the thing here, guys.
Yes.
And gals, and whoever the fuck is listening right now.
Yes.
I am sweating because I have been a people pleaser my whole life.
Yes.
I have not always been this rebellious.
And so what was that like when you, like, let's say when you were pregnant, and then coming up to delivery, and you were like formulating this, like, things are gonna change here. When even making that decision, you know, to not shave again after the delivery, how did that feel to you at first? Because that is different from everyone around you.
Yeah. Oh, it's lonely. It's lonely. It's scary. It's like, oh, all the things.
Yeah.
All the things. It's terrifying.
Right.
It's terrifying. It's like, oh man. Yeah. Like I said, it's been 2.5 years, and I'm at this point that I'm happy to be at this point. But in the beginning, yeah, it's terrifying, to the point that I started an anonymous social media account.
Right.
Like, you have to be pretty fucking scared to make an anonymous social media account. Like,
right.
You know,
and shows the impact, right? Because it was your counselor that suggested the anonymous social, right? So you're talking about this in counseling because it has big impacts.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, on one hand, that hyperlogical part of me is like, this is not related. Like, how I feel about myself, or how other people should feel about me, or how I should feel about my parenting, or how this impacts my parenting related to gender and sexuality. How the fuck is that related to if I shave my legs or not? Like, I know. What?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make
logical sense. But it doesn't make logical sense.
Right.
It's just this, it's like the patriarchy and misogyny and all the things that, like, if you hate yourself, you can't be a great parent. Like, I don't think those two are possible.
No.
Like, you have to love yourself to parent effectively. And like, I don't know how to explain that. Maybe you can explain that.
Absolutely. Because I know when we love ourselves, that means we're connected to ourself. And then we can parent from the self versus parenting from the scared part, you know, or the authoritative part, or, you know, the anxious part, or the depressed part, or the whoever part, right? We can parent from the self. And in the self are our values.
Yeah.
And compassion, right? We can have compassion for our kids, for ourselves, for the people around us, for our partner, if they're, you know, our partner's there. Like, all those things contribute to being the best parent we can be. But if we are filled with shame, and we hate ourselves and we hate our bodies, then we will be disconnected from the self. Yeah. And then you're right. We cannot be the best parent we can be, because we're not parenting from the self. We're parenting from all of these parts. Yeah.
And when you were talking there, I went back to what I said earlier about how people tend to judge others because they aren't happy within themselves, or they don't feel free or empowered enough to, like, be authentic. And I think that can happen in your parenthood, in your parenting, right? So if you, as the parent, don't feel liberated, you don't feel authentic, you don't feel supported, if you don't feel safe or authentic, how are you going to foster safety and authenticity and self-love in your child if you don't feel that?
Absolutely. When we have a strong inner critic, we're going to have a strong outer critic.
Yeah.
Right? When we're constantly shaming ourselves and our bodies because the patriarchy has taught us to do that,
Yeah.
then we will also perpetuate that and do that to other people again to keep them shamed. So let's not forget about capitalism, right? Like, so that we can contribute to these billion-dollar industries to quote unquote make us feel better. Yeah. Right. If we're all keeping each other down, they're gonna make more money. Right.
Yeah.
And again, like, I want to stress that these things are real. These are huge impacts. Like,
so real.
We're like, on one hand, it's not logical. This does not make sense how these things are related. And yet we live with so much shame because of, for example, body hair, or, the way our body shape changes and after, babies. And even that, like, related to that, like, goddess image, right? Of, quote unquote, a goddess, and like the mother, and the feminine, again, like, for me, it was always this vision of like long flowing hair. It's all related. And even my kids are older, and last year I decided it was a pandemic, I was bored, it happens, couldn't get to the hairdresser, and I was like, well, I don't know when I'm getting the hairdresser, so I shaved my head. But I had to reconcile, like, at first the excitement of shaving my head was like great, and then when the adrenaline wore off, I was like, oh shit, what are people gonna think? People are gonna think I'm not feminine. People are gonna assume whatever they're gonna assume. Are my kids gonna be embarrassed if I drop them to school and their mom doesn't have any hair, let alone long flowing hair? So it's like, we can't have body hair, right? We can't have hair in our arms or legs or armpits or pubic hair. But we have to long flowing hair on our head. Like,
I have said that my whole life. Like, when people say, oh, you have such gorgeous hair, because I also used to have like long, thick hair.
Right.
And I'm like, there's trade-offs, honey.
Yeah.
There's trade-offs. Like, you can't have it in one place and not have it anywhere else.
Right.
And I think a lot of people who don't fit the binary or the mold, so to speak, of gender really feel that pressure of like the maternal goddess, and this feeling like if they don't meet that, they don't match that, they've failed somehow, or that they're not like you said, not feminine enough, not maternal enough. Like, if I have short hair, I must not be as good of a mother or something, like, or as good as maternal of a parent.
Exactly.
It's weird. So it doesn't make logical sense, and I don't think it's supposed to. Like, this has been a very it's a very world view and way of being in the world that makes no sense. It's been very, like, carefully crafted, if you ask me. And so we need to tap into our own guidance system that makes sense to us. And follow that, because what's the point of living your whole life following the rules of something that doesn't make any sense to you?
Because also, when we do that, like I said, like those contradictions, like, we're never going to do the right thing. We're never right.
We're never right.
We're never going to be the right size. Our hair is not going to be long enough or short enough, or our legs are not going to be smooth enough, or we'll never reach this standard that we're attempting to reach. And your post on Instagram really hit me about that. Because you said patriarchy literally makes us hate ourselves. We are never enough as anything other than cis white men. And for me, I always stopped the sentence at I'm never enough. Just end of sentence. I'm never enough. So then that keeps me in shame. But the rest of your sentence, as anything other than cis white men, right? So I'm never going to obtain that standard.
Right.
Either cis white men or looking like something that will please cis white men.
Yeah.
That's also, I think, a big piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Present
So I think is that called like the male gaze,
the male
right?
gaze.
We're thinking about what the men will think of us or whatever.
Yes.
It's just like,
yeah, exactly. Because also if we're feminine enough, we're going to be
mm-hmm.
beautiful and attract the male gaze, and you know, they'll want to have sex with us. Great. But then, right? But then you become,
no, thank you.
right. And then you become a mother, and then, well, no, but you don't attract them too much.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you're a mom. Ew.
Yeah.
You can't have sex for fun. Ew.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a whole other conversation. But anyway, so what you said in that post, like that really hit me, because it was like, oh yeah, like this conforming is useless.
It's fruitless. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I'm so glad, because, you know, sometimes we get caught up on like wanting to create content, and but it really is amazing when it impacts someone, and like it really does mean something to someone, and that feels amazing.
I always like to ask, and I know this is big picture stuff, but what do we keep doing? Like, how do we keep changing things and working on this while still living in a patriarchal society and a capitalist society that's going to keep pushing the products and the shame to make us buy the thing that's going to remove the hair, or, you know, make us lose weight or look, you know, whatever. What do we do?
Yeah, for me, for me, it's a matter of just continue to live my truth and to inspire other people to live their truth, whatever that means to them.
Yeah.
But also starting to question when you see things in the media, when you see, you know, for example, at my doctor's office or something at one point, it had just put up big posters about, we now do laser hair removal. And I'm like, this is a fucking doctor's office. Like, wow. I don't want to be bombarded about aesthetic procedures to remove my hair at the freaking doctor's office. Like, do you mind? So questioning these things, bringing it to people's attention where it needs to be, continuing to uplift each other on social media and like encourage people to tell their stories and support people when they have the audacity to share their story and be vulnerable, because it's scary as fuck. Just having this compassion and loving kindness for other people's experience and being open-minded and keep searching for our champions who are championing different aspects of this. I don't want to call it a fight, but like different aspects of just this movement towards being more free to be us, more free to be ourselves, in our bodies, in our relationships, in life, you know, and supporting those creators and connecting on social media and just saying, hey, me too. Like, I haven't told anyone this, but like, I really resonated with your post, or I am having my own struggle with body hair or fat shaming or whatever it is. Just connecting with people on a human level. And I think that is powerful. That's powerful. That's some of how like I've grown, is just by connecting with other people on things. And even though vulnerability is scary, you know, read some Brene Brown stuff, because
my hero.
Yeah, she's a queen of authenticity and bravery, vulnerability, and that helps a lot when we don't quite fit what society says the mold is or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I totally could not agree more. Like us, like we talked about in the last podcast, is like showing up authentically, challenging, questioning, right? Of like, now I'm just so much better at being like, wait a minute, is that my truth, or is that socialization?
Yeah.
Is that patriarchy? Is that
Yeah.
capitalism? And I can like just take that minute to think before I buy the product
Yeah.
or shame
Yeah.
myself for something or whatever, right?
Yeah. Watch out for the should word.
Yes.
It's like the S word is no longer shit, it's should.
Yeah. That's a
And
shame word.
yeah, if you find yourself saying, oh, I should shave for this, take a beat and say, but do I want to? If the answer is no, then don't do it.
Right.
And also on that vein is if you are really resisting something, if you like, I should do this thing, but I really don't want to do this thing, just give yourself permission. Be like, okay, I don't have to. Like, even that is just radical.
Totally.
To just stop yourself from pressuring yourself into doing something you don't want to do and say, you know what, I actually don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like there is a way around it, or
Yes.
there's another alternative.
You know, that's interrupting those neural pathways in the brain. And I'm just a big nerd for neuroscience, but like when we interrupt those pathways, then the brain can be like, oh, we can do something differently. It takes time and effort and practice, and we got to like do the thing over and over. But we can do it. We can create a new neural pathway for that thing we're working on. And so what I like to tell people is like, just experiment, try it, right? Like you said, like just don't do the thing. Like, let's say don't shave your legs, see what happens. Get the data. If it turns out to be like not so bad, then maybe you can keep going. If you're like, no, I can't deal with that, I'm going to go back to my old ways. You can go back to your old ways. They're still there.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Not going anywhere anytime fast. Anytime soon.
And so I think that's super helpful. What I would like to add too is just recognizing that outer critic, right? Of like owning it, because yes, years of being conditioned that women should have smooth, hairless bodies, which I firmly like have been led to believe. And still struggle with it, is that when I notice someone else, I've never out loud said anything, but absolutely in my head I've been like, oh my gosh, I can see that person's leg hair, or you know, like they look feminine to me and they don't shave their legs. Wow. And like, I'm not gonna lie, that comes out because I have that inner critic and that shame that has been conditioned into me. And so it's also questioning that. You know, doing that for ourselves. So we talked about doing that with maybe family members, friends, but doing it with ourselves too. When we notice that we're thinking or judging other people's bodies, just stop for a minute and be like, oh, I noticed that's what I'm doing. Let me just bring that back in.
Yes. That's so powerful.
I think
that's so powerful.
Yeah.
That like a lot of times we judge others on things that we're hard on ourselves about.
Exactly.
So it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, okay, hold the phone. I'm judging them. And how do I feel about this towards myself? Oh yeah, I'm really hard on myself about that too.
Exactly.
So I better pump the brakes here and like take a deep breath and like, and just journal on this later.
Yes. Yeah. Talk to your therapist. Yes. And I say that because that is something I am hyper aware about myself. God forbid I would go anywhere without shaving my legs.
Yeah.
And my leg hair is long.
It's like a cardinal sin. Like it's just, and we need to tell each other, like, don't ever apologize for your body. You know, we need to tell our friends that if they do that shit, we need to call them out and be like, don't do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love you how you are. I don't give a crap.
Exactly.
You're beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. So when we notice we're doing that to ourselves, but then also noticing when we do that to other people, question yourself, rein yourself back in, you know, and just notice. Because when you start noticing, you're going to do it less for sure.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Because no one just, I mean, we're trying to be good humans. We don't want to just be assholes.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Exactly.
You know?
Thank you so much, Naomi, for this discussion. It was
thank you.
Amazing. I think it's so important because, I mean, especially as parents, like how we want to parent, how we want to show up for ourselves and our kids and what we want to, you know, give to our kids and, like you said, pass on to our kids, right? This stuff is so important.
Yeah. And I haven't seen it really been spoken about.
No.
Especially in the context of body hair specifically. I don't see it being spoken about.
No, I haven't either. So look at us being trendsetters.
Yes, I love it. I'm so grateful that you invited me on to talk about this topic because I'm clearly so passionate about it.
Absolutely. And tell everyone where they can reach you.
Yeah. So I like to be on Instagram. It's at my queer nest is my Instagram handle.
Yeah.
And then my website is queernest.co, not .com, .co.
Yeah.
I think those are like the best ways to get in touch with me. There's always a way that we can hop on a call. I'd love to like hop on a call with you and chat about how baby preparedness is going for you, what you're struggling with, what you could, use some help with, and how we can get you set up and ready for baby's arrival and for your own transformation into new parenthood.
Yes, absolutely. And if you have not checked out our episode where we talked about transitioning to parenthood, go back, listen to that episode, listen to what Naomi has to say about that and her awesome acronym for transitioning into parenthood.
Yes.
I loved it so much. Such a good website.
Thank you.
Such a good episode. And I, of course, will have everything in the show notes to link so that everyone can check your stuff out. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Christine. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please share this podcast with any of your friends or family members who may benefit from it. If you feel you are experiencing any of the symptoms or issues that we discussed today, please reach out to any one of your supports or go to perinatalwellbeing.ca for more information, blog posts, podcast episodes, and ways to connect with us. Check out our new episode every other Monday.